Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Catherine Vaughan and I'm a poet here in England. Tonight I will be reading for you poetry from my poetry book, Bohemian Love. So it's my second poetry publication. Yes, I'm really excited to read it to you all tonight. Sorry, this is my first ever Facebook Live. So let's get started really. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna begin with a book called Bohemian Love, and what it is, it's about, well, lots of little love poems, little breakup poems, and there's a lot going on in here. Okay, so when you meet the love of your life, everything changes. You never see life the same way ever again. Bohemian love is more than peonies on doorsteps and champagne breakfasts. It is an irresistible force that changes you forever. There are tales from Paris where charming artists meet beautiful muses. Bohemians fall in love at first sight, though that love can lead to obsession. This collection evokes the scent of desire, shadow of loneliness, and pain of thwarted love. Bohemian love will pierce your heart. It will fill your life with unimaginable passion and is a destiny for the chosen few. Okay, so I will begin with the reading. I'll pretty much go through most of the poems in this book, give you a little glimpse of what inspired them, what they're about. There's actually, there's a lot of poems, and as you can see, I've bookmarked them. These are the main ones that I read at in-person events, poetry readings, and online open mics. So they're my best loved poems in there. I will be dipping into my first ever publication, The Quarter Life Crisis Poet. So there's going to be a good mix up all night in this event. As well as my fiction and newer poems. I will be sharing newer poems with you because Bohemian Love will have a follow-up book called Lovers in Paris. So I will share exclusively to all my viewers on Facebook Live more new poems from my next book called Lovers in Paris, which is a companion follow-up book to Bohemian Love. Okay, so let's begin the reading. Bohemian Love. I'm going to begin with the first poem, and it is called In the Louvre. You are gazing at my favourite painting. I stand back and wait. A girl walks to you, my eyes cast down. Distracting myself, I search for a sculpture. When I find it, I am tempted to touch the white marble and embraced by Cupid. Secretly, I wish to be kissed the same way. It has been so long. That evening at the Eiffel Tower, I see you again. You hold our gaze. Sensing recognition, recalling the girl by your side, I look away to devour the city lights. The night sky is arrogant with beauty. On the hour, illumination, sparkle, rapture on all, shining on all. You walk towards me. I assume you'll go past. You say hello and recount seeing me in the Louvre. I'm taken aback. My breath deepens. I hold on to the railing. She was only his sister. She lives here. I take quiet delight in what he says. He wants to meet for breakfast. I gently decline, saying that I am en route to Giverny. He is persistent. And so we agree to visit the Musée de Lingerie the day after. Thursday arrives, though I am not sure he will. An hour later, and we are gazing at a painting, the water lilies, green reflections inside the museum. Though we are in Paris, you tell me of your travels, how you saw Caravaggio in Valletta and Guernica in Madrid. He wants to hold hands. I hold tightly to my handbag. I return to England soon. We are really only 3 hours away. Deep down, I am testing him because it all seems too good to be true. Weeks later, I am home, filled with wonder, expectancy, and delight at what is unfolding. So that was the poem In the Louvre, which is the opening very first poem of Bohemian Love. So that's our main first character that we're introduced to. This girl, she meets a guy in the museum Louvre, and then the next poem is actually about days before she meets this guy, and this is what the girl's really thinking when she lands in Paris by herself. Paris runway. I went to Paris to run away, a weekend alone, to find myself, look at art, escape everything, be a new person for a few days. Before I wanted to go to Paris to fall in love, this wish, this longing, has been so heavy on my heart. On countless trips before, I was always greatly disappointed, sitting alone in restaurants, just wishing a handsome stranger would come by and sweep me off my feet. I wondered if I would ever have a guy to hold hands with as I walked the streets of Paris. Someone to make memories with and take photos with. This spring I went for calm to escape the chaos of home. I didn't need to run to a man. I needed to visit Palace Vendôme. In the early evening I walked past the Ritz and saw a lady step out in haute couture. I took self-portraits on my phone with my favourite paintings in the background, paintings created by the world's greatest artists. How can a man compare to that? There are so many hidden quaint cafes to explore, scenery to draw as I nibble on petit fours. I didn't need to fall in love, as I was already deeply in love with life and all the magic of Paris. So that poem is about how when we fall in love with life, you could potentially meet someone that you love, because they always say that, don't they? Self-love is priority, and then you can love others. Okay, and then the girl is a little throwback to a few days before she met the guy, so this poem's called Hotel. My Louis Vuitton luggage is rugged as I excitedly get out my precious dresses and jewellery. I have been saving my best dresses for this trip. These garments have waited years to be worn, and are faintly whispering gratitude as they are delighted to be in the City of Lights. Holding them upon my body, I listen as they tell me which museums they want to attend. My Paris street style is almost ethereal. Pale pink and paler greens echo through my ensemble. I find myself popping back to the hotel morning, afternoon and evening so I can wear a new dress for each new place. Not that I brought many clothes with me, I simply bought more. The hotel lobby stands warmly, welcoming guests and bidding farewell in mere minutes. Inside Galeries Lafayette, I catch my reflection and see my cheeks cerise, lipstick fading from all the sweet treats of Angelina Paris. Hair teased wildly from hurriedly walking to and from cafes, museums, the metro, and back again. After walking through the Jardin des Tuileries, I take delight in my French soles, keeping their elegance after all these hours. Alone at night, I slip into a silk robe, the colour of morning champagne. I look in the mirror one last time, knowing that tomorrow I have to return back home to the chaos of my life. This whirlwind of charm is coming to an end, but I know I can always come back, and maybe next time with the man I love. And this next poem is called Artists on the Left Bank. I guess I couldn't have a poetry book, without a reference to all the artists on the left bank. And one of my biggest dreams in life, I always wanted to go to Paris and, to watch the painters by the river, obviously purchase a painting, but also, have the love of my life next to me as we did so. So this is me obviously romanticising Paris and all the artists and painters there. Artists on the left bank. I walk alone, along the same path as Matisse. Near the river, I find a bench and sit reading Colette, Lost with Claudine. In my hand is a little gift bag. I could not resist earlier buying yet another silk slip dress and robe. I am so charmed by the boutiques and tried on so many dresses yesterday, guiltily buying more that I do not need. Earlier, I picked up a painting from a street artist. There are cute guys on Vespers and dashing waiters. Inside my handbag sits a notebook of scribblings of exhibitions, restaurants, and the number of my hotel. I'm a little old-fashioned like that. I even have a plain papered notebook and pencil so I can draw when the mood inspires. I find a beautiful cafe and sit prettily with my almond croissant and coffee. Parisian landmarks in the distance. I attempt to sketch all that I see, and it's a unique blur of people, places, and fine details upon the cream pages. Bohemian pretensions are betrayed as I tiptoe into Hermes, gifting myself a scarf. I walk out with my hair down, fiddling to tie my hair into a low side ponytail with my new silk scarf. Inside, I am longing to stay at a palatial hotel. By the end of the afternoon, I am walking along the Pont Alexandre and the gilded statue amidst the last glow of gold before the night comes. Okay, and this next poem, it's a little bit of a love story, two new characters that you're going to meet. It's a very long one, and the poem is called An Artist Find His Muse. So we've got this artist, he actually works at the Ritz, so he's one of the staff members there, and in this instance, I made the muse a much older lady, so she's a lady in her 50s, she's beautiful, she, dresses classically, she often stays in the Ritz Hotel in Paris, she can afford haute couture, she's that kind of refined lady, because I really wanted to celebrate beauty in women of all ages, particularly women over the age of 50, so I made her the desirable muse. There's so many reasons for me choosing to do this, mostly because I don't understand why we say things like anti-aging when it's so natural and wonderful and it's going to happen to all of us. So this is my little counterpoint to this. An artist finds his muse. A widow stays at the Ritz alone again. She has experienced all that life has to offer except true love. Her love was taken too soon to sire a family, yet she is young in spirit and desired by young men. Throughout her stay, this young man is like a shadow, dutifully nearby whenever she needs anything. Our attendant is a struggling artist. He watches her as she sits alone night after night. Each day he takes in her beauty, and at night he draws her face. He longed to take her to the left bank. Little did he know she longed to escape her life and live as the people did, cycling to places, going on long walks at night. It did not matter that she was older. He knew she needed to be loved, to be held, listened to, and cherished. She had everything but love. That love was following her like a shadow. Unbeknownst, across the hall at breakfast, he stands and waits, waiting for his moment. He was the type of man she dreamed about in her youth, but could never be with due to societal expectations. On a warm afternoon, through the car window, she sees children eating ice cream and travelling students picking up trinkets for loved ones back home. She has had the best of everything, though really has nothing, no love, no companionship, just closets of Hermes to come home to. Having everything people wished for, she joked, "A Birkin can't love you back." Wealth occluded her heart's desires. That night, he won a bet and swapped uniforms with the doorman. He waited for his lady, and as she walked out for dinner, he offered his hand to help her down the steps, and at last she looked into his eyes. They stood in front of each other, her hand in his. "It's still early. Would you join me?" she asked. He took his hat off and went into the car, sitting in the back with her. At last, she confessed, she remembered seeing him. He assumed she never noticed that all uniformed staff looked the same. "Where'd you like to eat?" He mumbled a place. "Okay, take me there." The car stopped, not far from the hotel, and they both got out, heading to the nearest menswear store, where she picked up his outfit. After charging it on her card, the attendant went into the change rooms and put on the new clothes. They headed back into an elegant boutique, and she slipped out of her evening dress into more smart casual attire. The driver took the young man's borrowed uniform and her designer dress, and the two of them headed into the streets of Paris. They walked back into his apartment and hopped on his Vespa, her dress rising up a little as she sat on the back. They arrived at a Lebanese restaurant, family owned. His uncle treated them to anything they wanted. Upon the rooftop, they looked out onto the Paris skyline, no landmarks, just Parisian streets and building blocks of commerce. He enveloped her in a leftover shawl and wanted to kiss her. Though she is reserved, he can't resist inviting her to his place, and she accepts. As he looks in the kitchen for something to drink, she walks to his desk and sees a sketchbook left open. A beautiful lady's side profile is etched on the pages. Her eyes light up in recognition. It is her. There were other paintings of his on the walls, and when he returned from the kitchen, he mentioned his nights spent painting until the early hours. The widow stands at the window balcony, and the artist comes and puts his arm around her from behind. Looking back at him reminds her of the engagement night with her late husband. He was gone too soon. When he was alive, he was always away on business, so it was hard to tell if whispers that their union was more of a merger than a marriage had any truth to it. It was late, and she knew it was time to end it. The driver had been called and was sitting mystified outside the apartment. "I'm leaving in a couple of days. I guess I'll see you at the hotel," she said. But she never did. That romantic encounter cost his job. A couple weeks later, from her Upper East Side apartment in New York, she calls his gallery, requesting a commission, a portrait of a lady he spent the night with on a rooftop. When the gallery speaks to our artist, he's a little embarrassed, as his paintings are of landscapes, so a portrait request seems unusual. Perhaps she has seen his sketchbook. Was this even the same person? Maybe someone got the artist's name mixed up. Pride almost got the better of him, but the money was too tempting, and so he agreed. The gallery was astounded. She was offering thrice the price of portraits. It was a good 3 months until the portrait painting was completed. At the gallery, he managed to find the commissioner's Paris address. Was it she? A month later, he knocked on the door, but nobody answered. A week later, he tried again, this time with a letter in his hand. The letter expressed gratitude and a fond recollection of their time together. He admitted he had not stopped thinking about her since that night. Later that year, she arrived back in Paris and made a surprise visit. A young girl opened the door. No doubt the guy's girlfriend, she thought. She did not know who he was. Her boyfriend came up to the door and recognized the name, explaining that artist had moved out. There was only the gallery left, but a rude receptionist picked up the phone explaining the artist's details could not be disclosed. As she walked the streets alone, she thought back to their night together, wishing she let him kiss her if that was their last ever chance to be together. Then she thought about the Lebanese restaurant, so went back there and sipped on a sparkling rose drink. The uncle was not in sight. Up in the rooftop, the scent of the night mystically returned. But deep in her mind, the lady thought, being together would ignite a cultural clash. They were already from such different worlds. She was old enough to know better. It was getting late. Families and friends were filling the tables of the restaurant. She looked on, wishing to sit amongst them and be a part of something, wanting to belong. As she stepped out, the artist walked in. Rushing, late for his shift, his uncle disapproving. But there she was again. He, the artist, reached out for her hand, and it was like their first meeting, this time with rosewater, lemons, and fenugreek filling the air. He gave her hand a kiss. He did not walk out without her. Instead, he invited her in, and this time she stayed. So that's my little poem about the artist and the muse. And then this next poem is called The Courtship. So that is about the girl and the guy that meet in the museum in the Louvre. Okay, so this is who the mystery guy is in that poem in the Louvre. Okay, The Courtship. He was an art school dropout who went on to study and work in finance, charming me with tales of his travels sailing in the French Riviera, pearl diving in Bahrain, and playing polo in Argentina. I sat in awe. His mother French, father English. I could not believe he was a Catholic, gifting me with a new dress every time we went out. Wine tasting, coffee tasting, a painting class, afternoon tea at Fortnum's, occasional fine dining. It was more than I could ever dream for. Whirlwind life, love, money, politics, poetry, religion. We spoke about everything. Some weekends he'd pop to Paris to see family. He invited me, but I did not want to rush anything. I did not want to wake up from this. How long could it really last? Okay, so this girl and this guy, the girl's from England and the guy is, wonderful. He sounds perfect, but he's in France. So this next poem is called The Rules, and it's them trying to figure out how to make this relationship work and continue. The Rules. And so it begins. He promised to see me in 3 weeks. He's actually based in London, 3 hours away, but visiting family for the summer. He wants to start a new job in September, so we will both be on British soil, the promise. Correspond only by handwritten letters. Numbers exchanged weekly, calls at the weekend, no texting except for scheduling. Jean-Pierre's surname is still unknown. Never 2 weeks without seeing each other from September onwards. Okay, so then this Frenchman now comes to England to be with a girl, and they are reunited at the Savoy Hotel. And this next poem is called Champagne Breakfast at the Savoy. A breakfast banquet at 2 a.m. from room service earlier. Ordering what we please, decadence dancing in front of mirrors, recreating moves from the party. Sunrise across the Thames, last sip of champagne. Finally falling asleep, lunchtime comes. Shopping in Covent Garden, La Durée macarons, rose petal, orange blossom, pistachio sitting pretty, hop to Harrods, hands reach for Van Cleef and Arpels, jewellery, you try on watches as I trace my fingertips across necklaces only you can afford. Harvey Nicks. I pose in dresses made for garden parties, you kissing me endlessly in the dressing room. Outside, Aveline green silk dress for me from you. Another gift as we walk to Hyde Park. Picnic with food hall finds, pashmina scarf sits on the grass. Portrait mode, iPhone mode. He leans in, holding me in the park, tagging me online. He reaches for my French pastry. He conquers as usual. Sunday tomorrow, another magical day with you before you set off again without me. Okay, so yeah, it's going pretty well with this love story of the girl and the guy who meet in Paris. And so yeah, it's actually going really well. He really is as perfect as he seems. However, there's a mysterious arrival and someone's coming along to ruin things. So this next poem, the little excerpt is called Everything Was Going Perfectly Until My Ex Arrived. And the poem is called Mr. E. Corrival. It's called that because Mr. E sounds like mystery, and Corrival obviously means like arrival, so it's like a mystery arrival. Mr. E. Carville, upon my happiness, he enters uninvited again, shadow of perpetual doubt and tribulation, cold, calculating, playing a game only he understands, rules one day, wild abandon the next. He will not let go because he can't. Regret seeps in and fills his hollow heart with memories of me. After all the narcissistic girls calling him 5 times a day, taking endless photos, whining, clawing their way into commitment, he realizes he cannot do better, and I could not care less. So I hope that'll be satisfying for some of you who have that dreaded ex. You're like, oh, go away. Okay. Right, and then we've got a poem called Back Here. So we're back to this Parisian guy. Back Here. He says that he... Oh no, excuse me, sorry, I'm getting confused. This Back Here is about the ex. So, okay, so this ex is having a confession. Because obviously the girl and her ex have met up accidentally. They've just bumped into each other, and he's confessing all this stuff to her. And I'm about to reel to you what he says. Okay, so Back Here. He says that he wants me back, that I'm the one. Of course, he doesn't use those exact words. He never had much of a way with words anyway. It's been years. He cornered me again, knew where I'd be, speaking as if we hadn't been apart all those years, initiated by him. But why would I? Why should I? Truthfully, I'm still longing to hear those words, but I just can't anymore. As much as I wanted to see him again, it's agonizing being apart and together, waiting in vain for years for him to become the man I want him to be, need him to be. After all this time, I see not much has changed with him, another delusion of love. Now I have to fill my heart with distractions, as nothing can satisfy it. God kind of did temporarily, but it's here again. All I know now is that I do not want you back here. Okay, and then another little throwback to the encounter with an ex who's obviously stalking her and, knows where she hangs out and things. So it's called The Second Meeting. And also what inspired this as well was the fact that, now as a published poet and using certain real life experiences, sometimes you feel a little paranoid about what people in your bars may think of your poems. So I sort of drew on that, and it's present here in this poem called The Second Meeting. We met again. This time he brought my poems, demanding I tell him which were about him. I have more. I'll never tell. There's this guy I see, a songwriter. He wants my poetry as song lyrics. I wanted to sing them, but they just break my heart. I decided that a long time ago my heart is my art. I know I paid a huge price for it, but it's all I have and my only way out of my current existence. I wanted a man to come along and change my life, but you have to do the work yourself alone. Of course, he gets closure in our meeting. He gets the last say because it was always about him. I am firm this time. I can't take it anymore. Just leave me alone. Forget I exist. Just go. So I hope that's cathartic for some of you. Okay, let me just take a moment to have a little sip. And this next bit, it's just a little deep dive into the life of a poet. And this next poem is called Poet's Life. Sometimes when I write poems, I eat chocolate truffles slowly, as if its creamy champagne centre is the only source of comfort in my life, its sweetness, the only goodness lingering in my life. The night that follows will be sleepless as the memories of despair and lovelessness are inflamed. Insomnia sits upon my bed like a neglected lover. Silk pillowcases and sheets envelop me as I spend another night wishing you were by my side. As much as all the tragedies in my life send me to despair, I know without them I'd never have my heart. My best poems are written by hand on pure white paper. When I have listened to sad songs, songs that remind me of you. And sometimes I still look at the photos of us and wonder what could have been. I even listen to the songs you like, as if doing so will fill the room with your presence. Your absence is a reminder again that I am unloved and unlovable. It is painful to think about, but that is how I feel. I know you think about me because I always think about you. We're connected that way. We always have been since we met. There's not a day gone by when I've not thought about you, but I'm here, you're there, deep down I know nothing will make you come back. Instead, I wait for it to pass and be over. Eventually it will be. Someday, a day will go by when I've not thought about you. Though these poems don't help, instead crystallize and eternalize my love for you. My soul speaks through poetry. It pours out unruly during dark nights of the soul. I strive to keep up with my hand as I write on cream paper, past hurts, and recall yet another lamentable lover. I write in the early hours of the morning when insomnia overpowers me and my pillowcase cannot take any more tears. It's an endless cycle, agonizing but necessary, as I promised my heart would always be my art. Okay, and then another little follow-up poem about being a poet. So obviously sort of based on my life, the experiences, the intense emotions that I go through when I'm writing my poems. Like, I mean, sometimes I really do, as I'm writing, I really do listen to songs, you know, of like, you know, exes or whoever, that songs that they liked, just to remind me of them. Or obviously sometimes I have like a playlist of sad songs and I literally listen to them until I'm at the point of crying, and then I make myself write poems, and that's how I get my best art. It's like really agonizing. It's like self-torture, like, anyway, but you know, I get a book out of it, so I guess it's worth it. Other days I write poetry and look at the squirrels from my window. These are good days, blessings, knowing I can feel myself again and not be weighed down by all the cruelty life has inflicted on me. I put on a dress to mark the occasion that I am a writer, a poet, a dreamer following her passions. Pretty teacups and homemade cakes perch daintily on my table. John Mayer plays on vinyl. Tears fall. I see their droplets upon the paper as art and remnants of my soul. It is valiant to be unloved, yet still continue to love others deeply and care for them. My suffering is not weakness, it is the fire that purifies my soul and clarifies my view of the world and the human condition. I read souls, I echo the deep hurts in all our hearts. Nobody can hurt me more than my own poetry. Poetry pierces my heart, but you broke my heart a long time ago, and now I am wiser and unmoved by human cruelty. After all, it is so predictable, though we need poets to remind us that it happens to us all. And we must remember that no matter what happens, we will always overcome, because we always have. Okay, and then we're going to dive back into the original opening love story of the girl and guy in Paris, so Jean-Pierre and the girl in England. I'm just going to take a moment. Thank you everyone for your comments. Also guys, please share this live video link to your friends and anyone else who you know who loves poetry. It would be great to get some more listeners. Okay, let me just check my page quickly in case there's anything else. Okay, so the next poem is in the little section called Back to You, and it's called London, Paris Away. We head back to Paris. After all, that is where we met, and your family is here. Searching through Parisian antiques, Galeries Lafayette, avant-garde designers, minimalist chic, Parisian streets, we sit for coffee. I thought you were sketching, but you're calculating and perplexed. And then I meet her, the girl I thought you loved, at the Hotel Plaza Athénée for afternoon tea. She is the sweetest sister, and so I confess my first mistaken impression, and we giggle like family. I can't help but feel that meeting your family is some sort of consolation. Of course, I saw it coming. He is moving to America. It sounds so corporate. I knew it was too good to last. The offices are on both sides of the Atlantic, so he will be back every few weeks. Will an ocean pull us apart? He didn't get the job in London, instead New York. He wants to visit. Am I tinged with doubts? Well, I try not to show it. It's amazing, unbelievable, just like him. England bound I am, though not for long, he hints. I refuse to move for a man, not my husband. I am a little upset, though. By the time we all go out for dinner, I am absolutely delighted at his news. Yep, so the relationship continues to progress, and now she's meeting his family. So this is Jean-Pierre's family, and the poem's called Family Affair. His mother only stays at the Ritz. I love her already. Fur coats, black pearls, Paris, London, New York, and LA if her son drags her. I get swept up by her jewels, but they're good people, honestly. They believe life is about cultivation, that decency trumps all. It's not about what you have, but who you are. The person you are becoming. It's so refreshing. It took me so long to realise that through his relations I escaped the negativity, and it's like I found the family I always wanted. Okay, and a little thing that Jean-Pierre does to this girl is in this next poem, this cute little thing that he shares with her, and the poem is called Frames. He shipped the art he picked up in Parisian antique stalls and sent them to me, wanting to know if I liked them. He liked me to pick frames for the unloved paintings he collected. Loving you. I fell in love with him because he saw the beauty of unloved paintings. When we were together, he saw the innocence in me and never tried to hurt me. It was the way he shut out the world in his hammock and when he painted. His endless, sometimes drunken tales of Paris streets, Maldives beaches, and the magic of Dubai across the night sky. He was full of stories and poetries. When he looked at me, he said it all. And when we met, with one look, it had been decided. He was my soulmate. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. I'm still reading poems from Bohemian Love. Later on I will be reading poems from my first ever poetry book. So I'm going to be dipping in and out. And I will also be reading poems from this next book that follows Bohemian Love, and it's called Love is in Paris, and it will be a companion book to this collection. Okay, and right now we're on a poem called Letters. And it's just about how their relationship progresses, what they get up to, the type of kind of old world traditional love that they have, which is very unconventional and rare these days. Okay. Letters. We write letters to each other all the time and share photos. It's so sweet and nostalgic. I have learned so much about his childhood and favourite places. It's like his letters are black and white films that come to life in colour as we talk on the phone. I appreciate his style, his way with words, and what a gentleman he is. It's like we're in another era, and I like it that way. My dresses are just as excited as I to see him, and he's always teaching me something new. I feel at ease with him. He listens as I talk about books I have read. My reading list is almost as mountainous as my bookshelf, showcasing a stratum of literary fiction, travel writing, and photography books. He speaks of travelling a lot, of our future, and all the places he wants to take me. It was his birthday recently, and I sketched his Labrador. I saw the little dog faintly in the corner of an old photo he sent me. My birthday is not for a while, though. He promises we will be together when the day arrives. We are apart a lot. I really don't mind, as our world is incessantly connected, and the distance seems to deepen our connection. My friends say my life has become like a novel. I am not surprised, as this is a dream that has manifested better than I could imagine. Though often we cannot kiss and hold hands, I trace my fingers across his handwritten words in his letters and smell the paper which he has immersed his cologne onto, much like when I spritz my perfume on his letters. He asked for my perfume once. I laughed. He said he wanted to spray it on his pillow so he could feel closer to me at night when we are far apart. I miss him terribly, but it's the happiest I've ever been. He says he'll draw me one day. He plays guitar, and I wish he'd write a song about me. I've dropped so many hints. I've had many Bohemian dreams, some of which are coming to life now, secretly. I wish to be immortalised on canvas, remembered in poetry, and to live on forever in a novel. It was inevitable that I fell in love with an artist. I had such a habit of falling in love at first sight. I am often lost in my imagination and wishing to live life as beautifully as a film. My heart is my art, and it's amazing to be with someone who feels the same way. Some nights I write about him, though up until now I've been too shy to share them, but maybe I will in my next letter. So yeah, that poem Letters is all about the longing that I have. You know, I wish I could have like an old school romantic love with lots of poetry, and you know, I've always wanted a song written about me, so I sort of projected it onto this poem. I'm just going to repeat some lines that I love in here. Secretly, I wish to be immortalised on canvas, remembered in poetry, and to live on forever in a novel. Like, I really wish that could happen. And it's so ironic because, like, the guys I've dated and things, but not very many, of course, but it's funny because now it's like I'm writing about them in poetry, and you know, certain elements or certain features and characteristics of the them get to live on in my novel, because I'm currently working on my first ever novel. It's called Welcome to Wonderland. So yeah, it's just so ironic. I'm like, I'm the one that wanted to have poems written about and a novel written about, but it's been reversed. So I guess that's the life of a poet, isn't it? That's what happens. Okay, and then following on, the next poem is called Peonies on My Doorstep. So as we were saying, Jean-Pierre is working back and forth between England and New York, or rather he's working in New York and then he visits England. So it's a long distance relationship now. So she's found this great guy, but now it's a long distance relationship. So this next poem is called Peonies on My Doorstep. I waited weeks for your return. No call, no text, just agonizing wait. You came back last week, or so I heard. At last I found peonies on my doorstep, with a note for our next date. Calm returns as I read your sweet message. Still a part of me looks at your handwriting, searching for clues as to whether you still love me. On the day of our date, I find you on my doorstep. I invite you in, though purse my lips as you walk in. You say you are back now, that your work will let you return to me. I search for your face to see if your eyes will reflect back another girl. Although my eyes are brown, they are green with envy. But I trust you because I'm learning to trust again, because you are different, better than what I could have hoped for, and so I rid the Vedant sin. And after an hour of your tales stateside, I stand up and walk out of the house, a new woman, renewed from the jealous girl I was. Okay, so that's a little love, long distance poem for you.